Imagine, just for a second, that you're trekking through the scorching, unforgiving sands of the Jordanian desert. You turn a corner into this narrow, winding canyon, and suddenly, an entire city just reveals itself. But it's not built from the ground up. No, it's carved directly into these massive, towering, rose-colored cliffs. This was a city that once controlled some of the absolute richest trade routes in the world, a civilization that mastered engineering literal centuries ahead of its time. And then, it just mysteriously faded from history. It really begs the question, how could a thriving empire and one of the greatest civilizations simply disappear?
Well, welcome to this explainer. Today, we're unpacking the incredible true story of the lost city of Petra, the ancient wonder that vanished. If you love unraveling ancient mysteries and seeing how human ingenuity conquered seemingly impossible environments, you are definitely in the right place. We're going to look at exactly how this magnificent wonder rose from the dust, dominated the ancient world, and then just vanished.
All right, let's jump right into part one, a kingdom in the desert and the rise of the Nabateans. To really understand Petra, we have to travel back more than 2,000 years to the harsh, arid landscapes of southern Jordan, which, by the way, is one of the driest regions on Earth. Our story starts with the Nabatean kingdom. They were an ancient Arab civilization, and what's so fascinating about them is how they completely defied this brutal desert environment. Where most people would just see an uninhabitable wasteland, they saw huge opportunity. Positioned perfectly between Arabia, Egypt, and the Mediterranean, they didn't just survive out there, they transformed the desert into a flourishing, wealthy metropolis, a real thriving hub of culture and power.
And their construction technique? Absolutely mind-blowing. Unlike almost every other ancient city you can think of, places built block by block using stacked stone or brick, Petra was entirely different. It was sculpted directly into the living rock itself. Temples, royal tombs, sprawling homes, grand monuments, they literally appear to grow organically out of the massive sandstone cliffs. It's a feat of architectural integration that honestly still leaves modern researchers absolutely stunned today.
Now you might be wondering, how did they afford all this? Well, their strategic location is exactly why the Nabateans were able to build such a lavish city in the middle of nowhere. It was all about the trade routes. We're talking frankincense and myrrh pouring in from southern Arabia, exotic spices from India, fine silk from Asia, and precious luxury goods from Egypt. And they weren't just trading physical wealth. They were exchanging ideas, cultures, and technologies, basically becoming the ultimate crossroads for international caravans. The sheer wealth flowing into Petra's narrow canyons every single day allowed them to build a massive economy based on taxes and protection fees.
Which brings us to part two, Masters of Desert Engineering and Defying the Arid Environment.
See, the Nabateans were far more than just successful traders holding a strategic choke point. They were actual engineering geniuses, literally centuries ahead of their time. Think about it. If you're going to have a massive, wealthy population in the desert, your biggest enemy isn't an invading army, it's a lack of water. So they created this incredibly advanced water management system basically in 3 steps. First, they carved extensive channels into the solid rock and built heavy dams. And this wasn't just to catch water, it was to control the deadly, sudden flash floods that sweep through those desert canyons. Step 2, they constructed huge reservoirs and underground cisterns to capture and store every precious drop of rainwater. And step 3, they actively filtered and distributed this fresh water throughout the entire city all year round. Just try to picture that contrast. Outside the city walls, it's a harsh, baking desert. But inside Petra, you had lush gardens, public fountains, temples, all thriving because of this absolute masterclass in hydraulic engineering. But as we know, nothing lasts forever. Let's look at part 3, the fall of Petra and when the caravan stopped.
The crucial takeaway here is that even the most prosperous empires are vulnerable to change. The sequence of doom for Petra wasn't just one single dramatic event, it was a domino effect. It started in 106 AD when Petra lost its political independence. It was annexed by the Roman Empire and turned into the province of Arabia Petraea. Then came a massive economic shift with changing trade routes, which we'll dig into in a sec. And finally, the fatal blows were delivered by nature itself. Powerful earthquakes in the 4th century heavily damaged the city, and then a second massive quake in the 6th century effectively destroyed those sophisticated water systems we just talked about.
But honestly, the real nail in the coffin was economics. For centuries, Petra relied on these slow, land-based caravan routes, taxing absolutely everything that came through. But over time, merchants realized that maritime trade, sea travel, was faster, far more efficient, and, most importantly for them, it bypassed Petra completely. As the merchants took to the seas, the economic lifeblood of the city just dried up. Without that massive wealth from trade to sustain the city or to rebuild after those devastating earthquakes, families slowly left to find better opportunities. The once bustling markets felt totally silent, and eventually, the streets were just abandoned to the desert winds.
This leads us right into part 4, rediscovered by the world and unveiling a myth.
So, how does a city that once connected continents just fade into obscurity, only to be brought back to the modern world? Well, for hundreds of years, the Western world had absolutely no idea this place even existed. It was literally just a myth, rumors whispered by local Bedouins about a lost, silent city of ruins hidden deep within the rock. But that myth became reality in 1812 thanks to a Swiss explorer named Johann Ludwig Burckhardt. Just imagine the sensory experience of this moment. Burckhardt is traveling in disguise as a local. He convinces his guides to take him through the Sick, which is this dark, incredibly narrow, winding canyon where the walls stretch hundreds of feet above you, practically blocking out the sun. He's walking through the shadows, turns the final corner, and steps straight out of a local desert legend right into historical reality.
And what he saw as he exited that dark canyon is just staggering. Towering at 40 meters, that is nearly 130 feet tall, is the magnificent treasury, known today as Al-Khazneh. This incredibly intricate facade was carved entirely into the vertical rose-colored cliff face. And what's kind of funny is, despite its massive fame, historians actually still debate what its exact original purpose was. But Burckhardt's discovery of this colossal monument reintroduced Petra to the Western world, and it immediately sparked this absolute frenzy of interest among historians and archaeologists across the globe.
Finally, let's wrap up with part 5, Petra's enduring legacy and a monument to human resilience.
Today, we look at the legacy of the Nabateans, not just as a collection of pretty ruins, but as a testament to the true limits of human resilience and creativity in the face of impossible environments. The international recognition of Petra's outstanding cultural significance was officially solidified in 1985 when it was designated a UNESCO World Heritage Site. Today, it stands proudly as one of the new 7 wonders of the world. Millions of visitors travel to Jordan every single year just to walk through that same narrow canyon, stand before the treasury, and marvel at the breathtaking beauty of a city carved right into living rock. It is a powerful reminder that while civilizations may fade, their monumental achievements really do continue to inspire humanity.
And you know what the most exciting part of this whole story is? It's not over. Despite decades of intense archaeological research, Petra is still giving up its secrets. Researchers are actively out there uncovering hidden structures, excavating ancient burial sites, and revealing even more details about those deeply sophisticated hydraulic engineering systems. Every single new dig continuously proves the unbelievable advancement, creativity, and sheer determination of the Nabatean civilization.
Which leaves us with this final, thrilling thought. We've mapped their rise, admired their brilliant engineering, and traced their tragic fall. But with ongoing excavations still revealing hidden secrets to this very day, what else is just waiting to be found beneath the sands of Petra? Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Keep feeding your curiosity, and I'll catch you next time.